it's Killbite here. This video, I'm going to show you how to go from this clear coat, peeling, and nasty wheel without removing the tire to this. Yep, finished product. Not too bad. That looks way, way better. I mean, they look brand new, so I'm pretty happy with them. And by the way, I show you the hard stuff on this, not just go over the easy, you know, okay, do this, this, and this, and just kind of skip over what actually are the challenges for when your clear coat and stuff is actually peeling, and you know, there's a lot of sanding involved and that type of thing. Put a windsock on the camera. I hope that's enough to cut down on the wind noise. First, you got to remove your wheels. Be safe, jack stands. Second, you need to remove the center caps. These right here. And most of them will just push out. You may need to like squeeze in here and push. There it's going. Yours may have screws or bolts holding them, so check for that. Once you got the center caps out, you got to clean them. So I'm going to use this cleaner. Use whatever cleaner you want first on both sides. Then I'm going to get some dish soap, some Dawn dish soap with some hot water, and I'm going to do it again. Make sure that there is no dirt, no grease on them. You don't want the grease to get in to the scratches when you start sanding them. That'll cause adhesion problems. All right, for the instructions on this one, spray it with cold water. And then you just spray it. It says leave it for 30 seconds. Now, these are really dirty. I'm using a scrub brush. Of course, it's going to blow right into the camera. Change directions on me. Hopefully you can tell the difference here. It's very noticeable. Now, I should mention, I had these laying face down because the tire actually is higher than the wheel. If your wheel is higher than the tire, make sure you got something under it to protect it, or have like a couple 2x4s on the edges, hold the wheel off the ground. I'm going to do the same thing on the front side. All right, I got a few different brushes, and now Dawn dish soap, hot water, and a sponge. Clean it again. And wheels are generally so dirty. You gotta do this, you know, you gotta clean them a couple times. If you want the paint to stick and you want this to last, this is how you have to, this is what you gotta do. All right, that's about as clean as this thing's gonna get. I'll do the other wheels. We now have clean wheels. And by the way, I did, since I still have tires on mine, I marked their location, right front, right rear, so I know where to put them back. Now, next step is sanding. So let's show a couple things here. I'm hoping it shows up. It's not even just the clear coat, it's the paint under the clear coat right there that is literally delaminated. It's no longer attached to the base. There's some more. These Mazda wheels in the mid to late teens. This is a 2016. They were notorious for this. I mean, it's terrible. Now, I did get lucky. There's almost no curb rash. There's just a touch there, but nothing deep. Look at this other one. It is better, but it still has right here, little curb rash. So yeah, we'll definitely sand that up. So you're gonna want some clean gloves if you're going to be sanding on these. I use mesh. I prefer the mesh. This happens to be mesh mite scuff pads. The gray is like a 600. The red or purple, whatever it is like a 320, somewhere in there. Also have wire wheels and nylon wheels. That's right, nylon wheels. Black is allegedly 80 grit. No, it's not really. Red 100, blue 240. They are slightly the black is slightly firmer, but these will not dig into your wheels. These won't dig into your wheels, so you don't have to worry about that. On the wire wheels, this shouldn't dig into your wheels, but if you try these, make sure you test them first and make sure they won't. But these won't. And this is what we'll be using. You can use it wet or dry, and you want the gloves because they will eat up your fingers, your hands, and they got to be clean because you don't want to get oils and stuff back on the wheel. So this is the one that didn't look so bad, but yet look at all that. There were several places that you couldn't see it, but it was already peeling off. I should warn you, just did one. It's already wearing on my fingers, wearing the gloves. New piece of purple stuff, roughly 320. You can start with this. Okay, you got to scuff everything up, and then go to a nylon or a wire wheel, or you can start with a wire wheel and all these places that you can already see it's coming up. You'll find some more after you've sanded. Look at that. This is with the gray nylon wheel. This will not hurt. Look at that. It's not going to hurt the wheel at all. Even a soft wheel like this. Like right here, this isn't enough. So let me go ahead and show you the wire wheel. It'll dig into the paint a little more. It'll pull that up. See how I hope you can see. Yeah. See how I broke that up? But it did scratch. It does scratch the metal underneath. So be a little gentle with this, but it's very effective. You gotta get all the loose stuff off, or it's gonna come loose under your new paint, and you'll have the same problem you started with. Uh-oh, battery's dead. Hit every spot where it looks like it's coming loose. All right, there's the wire brush. Switch to the nylon. Try to catch edges so that it'll peel off now. You push harder with the nylon. Now you start scuffing everything. You'll probably find some more places where the paint is coming off if you got a Mazda. And don't forget to get along the lip here. It's that one with the wheel. Told you you'd find some more. But every single surface has to be scuffed. Otherwise, paint's not going to stick. And this is to provide mechanical adhesion. It's all little scratches. The paint, first primer, will get into the scratches and hold on. That's your mechanical adhesion. And if you paint within an open window, that's chemical. I suggest trying to do 2 directions. Maximize the scratches, the adhesion. There and there. Need some more. Now you can use sandpaper. That works too, but I find the scuff pads are much easier for surfaces like this. And this original paint just does not stick to these. Pretty bad. It's pretty sad is what it is. Anywhere where it's shiny, you gotta make it dull. Whole other section. Look at that. This is why it costs so much to have somebody else do this. There's another spot. Another spot. Whew, getting in those is tough. Okay, these are sanded and I blew them off. If you have curb rash, that is worse than this. I mean, that is just barely there. And the spot that was over there is just barely there. You can use some filler. Now I'd use a metal reinforced filler if it's deep enough. If it is shallow, so I could use the spot putty on that, but I think the primer filler will cover that. If you want it perfect, use some glazing spot putty. This needs to be very thin, nice thin layers, let it dry. Another thin layer, let it dry, because this stuff will crack if you put it on too thick. So we're looking at, you know, like a 30/2 of an inch, no more than a 1/16. I mean, 1/16 is probably too much even. To keep it from cracking, you want to just real thin, let it dry. Another thin, let it dry until it's built up enough where you can sand it smooth with the surfaces around it. But I think I'll be fine with just some primer filler. So next step for me is wiping all this down with a alcohol water mix. So I did notice there's a couple shiny spots, so I'm gonna make sure I hit them again with a scuff pad. Just make sure it's gonna adhere. Then I'll blow it off, and then then we'll hit it with alcohol mix. Alcohol and water on a clean microfiber. Start wiping it down. Now my hands are clean. I did wash them. And yes, it is burning my ow, where I got that sore on the side of my fingernail. Now you'll notice it looks shiny when it's wet. When it dries, it should be dull, and you should see the scratches, scuff marks. Sure to get around the valve stem real well, and in the lug nut holes here. You don't want any dirt or anything getting sprayed up from when you spray. All right, that's the first one. I'm gonna do it all again with a clean rag. Make sure you get it all. All right, we're gonna try trash bag trick. Now, this is only a 30-gallon. It's the biggest I got. In the center, measure from the center to the edge of the rim. Cut it. Now, I'm cutting the whole thing because it won't go around the wheel anyway. All right. Well, yeah, not that great. Okay, so let's resort to the index cards. Make sure they are clean. And I have a box underneath this. The box was wiped off underneath the tire so it doesn't blow anything up. I could do it that way, actually, because the bag is covering the tire. I'm not having to put paper back there, but I am having to use the cards to keep the bag from coming up over the edge of the wheel. So if someone knows the trick to making trash bag hack work, let me know what I'm missing in the comments, because I'm apparently missing something. And I'm going to actually lay these down. Be easier to paint. I'm able to bring it down more. Okay, do it again. Now I will say I should have did this prior to putting the cards on, just because the cards are kind of getting in the way. Oh, and this is the alcohol mix, about 50-50 with water. See, like that, the card got caught. Again, clean hands when you do this. Try not to touch it with your hands, the wheel. You want to have clean hands just in case. Or wear gloves. Sure. Valve stems. Any lug nut holes. All right, now I got to tape off the valve stems. Then we'll be ready to do the filler. Okay, I'm using the U-Pull filler primer. You can use the Rust-Oleum 2-in-1. I've used it as well. That works, but not as well as this. This works really well. And it says shake for 2 minutes. That means 2 minutes. First coat, what I'm doing is I'm going around the outside, then I'm hitting going around, you'll see. Everything should go gray, color of the primer. But don't expect a to fill in everything yet. Get the center a little bit. 10 minutes between coats. Okay, we're ready for the second coat. The thicker you make the coat, the more humid it is, and the lower the temperature, the longer it takes to dry. I'm going to be a little heavier on the bad spots with this second coat. A little lighter on the smooth spots. Another thing, I'm going to use the valve stem as my start and stop point. So I'm going around the sides here. A little disappointed in the spraying on this. Keep having to wipe the cap off. Second coat. Now I am going to do third coat on some of these spots. Unfortunately, the primer filler isn't actually getting it covered up as much as I was hoping. Okay, I'm actually almost out of the 10 ounces. This third coat, I'm only putting where there are marks to try to build up in those locations. The rest of it just doesn't need it. There's a lot of those on this one. I am putting it fairly thick. This is primer filler. It's not paint. I will be sanding it. If it runs, I'll just sand it off. And no matter what, it's going to look better than it did. That was a little thick. I really need better light. Third coat's done. What? You thought you were done sanding? Ha! Alright! Now, if you're going to go straight to painting after doing the primer within the open window, great. Go ahead and throw your paint on. However, mine has been drying overnight and I want to get it a little bit better. There's some flaking that showed up here, and so I am going to sand it some more. I'm going to use a gray scuff pad and 600 grit on a sanding block. If you don't have a sanding block, you can use a piece of wood, wrap the sandpaper around it, that type of thing. I'm using a metallic color, that's why I'm using these. If I was using a flat color, then 400 grit would be fine. But what I'm doing is I'm going over it lightly with the gray scuff pad. And this stuff, this filler primer sands really easy. At least the good stuff does. So be gentle, and you're going to want to go ahead and hit everything. Let the scuff pad do the work. But places like this, all right, so in the corners, use the scuff pad, that's fine. you don't have to worry. If you go through, you can spray it again. You can primer it again. That's not a big deal. And depending on how much you go through, you may not even need to re-primer as long as it's scuffed. I'm going to cut a lot of the sanding of the filler. The key here is that everything has to be scuffed, and any areas that have an edge showing where the old paint came off, or curb rash areas, if you have them, need to be block sanded until they are flat. If you don't, they will show after they are painted. You can see right there, this is low, this is high. This is where the old base and clear came off. This is where it didn't. And I'm sanding down the high stuff, hopefully, so that it's the same level as the low stuff. And you can do that. You can see it visually sometimes. Other times you have to fill, and not with these gloves. You can't fill anything with these gloves. That's alright, so this is looking pretty good. Unless you're wanting to have a show car. Right here we're good. Now right here there's another area. Needs a little more. Huh. The other one wasn't near this bad in these edges. Careful. See how I went through? We'll just smooth that out. Primer over it. Okay, here's a spot, some spots where it had dripped. That nozzle and that U-pole filler would drip, build up on the edge of the nozzle and splatter. So I want to sand those out. That's easy. Get all around the edge. So I'm just going to hit everywhere with the scuff pad. And be sure to get in the corners. Inside corners are terrible for in the sand. If you need a reference, use the valve stem. Expect this to take a full weekend, if nothing else, for the paint to dry. And that's why I should have started at the valve stem. I think I've already done those. All right, now it's just, I got the inside corners there. Now let's start the valve stem. Keep saying it, and I'm not doing it. Okay, now start moving into towards the middle, getting all these inside corners. Now only sand in here if you want it to stick. You don't want the paint to stick. Don't worry about standing in here. Yes, that's sarcasm, and it is true. All right, let's spray it off with air. Alcohol water mix. Clean hands. I washed them with soap. Get the oil off. I'm doing wiping it down. I want to fill these edges. See how bad they are. Then decide if it's worth it to smooth them out anymore. If they are more than you want, and basically if you can fill them, you can probably see them when you paint it. So like here, oh, I can just barely fill that. I can still fill that one a little bit. It's rough. So should probably hit it if you want it. If you want it perfect, you're gonna have to hit it with some more filler. Need to sand that spot a little more. Visually inspect it as well. Oh, and I did blow it off with air. Make sure you down in the valve stem area and in the lug nut area. All right. So these are not perfect. That was never my goal. My goal is to make it so that when you're walking by it or looking at it, you know, normal stuff, the fact that the paint's coming off your wheels isn't obvious like the old ones. They looked horrible. These, while they won't be perfect, they won't win a show. 99% of the people won't even be able to tell that these aren't the stock nice wheels. And the time it would take for me to just keep repeating primer or spot putty, primer filler, and sanding to get them all perfectly smooth isn't worth it to me. If it is to you, keep repeating till you got them perfect. But it's very time consuming. It's been about an hour since I brought these back out here. It's been about an hour of my time so far on this, and we aren't done yet. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this, get the dust off of it. I don't want that blowing on the paint. All right, and yeah, that's used up, and it's still not clean because it's still showing dirt. All right, now I'm going to hit it with some Rust-Oleum 2X flat gray primer. It's 2X, not 2K, and you'll see why. All right, I'm going to spray it exactly. I'm going to spray it exactly like I did before, and I hate wearing these masks, but this Rust-Oleum stuff is very fumey, even in an open garage. The rim good. Don't do it too thick. Oh, and I did wipe it really good with the alcohol mix. Not working for me well. These tips aren't working well for me. Okay, did I miss any? Don't get it on too much where it runs. If you're doing a second coat, then you don't have to worry right now about it, but I don't plan on doing a second coat. My plan was to go straight to the base after this. This coat is so I can see what it's going to look like. It's going to look quite good when it's done. It's not near as easy as other videos make it look. Now when you're painting, you need to follow the instructions, assuming you have a magnifying glass to read them. Ugh. All right, you want the open window, 2 or more light coats, yeah, allegedly. Dries to the touch in 20 minutes, to something in 1 hour, to handle in 1 hour, and fully dry in 24 hours. Apply a second coat or ultra whatever with 1 hour, I think that's supposed to be within 1 hour or after 24 hours. So in other words, it is open for paint for 1 hour. So once this dries enough where I can touch it and it doesn't stick to my finger, I can then go to this base coat. But if I wait for more than an hour, I have to wait for 24 hours, sand it, and spray. Within 1 hour, I'll have a chemical adhesion. After 24 hours, sand it, and have a mechanical. And then I'm going to hit it with this. This is a somewhat close to the original color. I've used it before and it actually works well. You don't have to use a clear coat with this one. And we will follow the instructions just like this. So I'll be back in probably 20 minutes. Go get some lunch. So follow the instructions on the paint you're using on this Duplicolor. It says to apply 3 light coats followed by 1 medium wet coat. Apply all coats within 1 hour. 10 minutes between each coat. A light coat. They're not. Alright, thanks. Got right size. 1 light coat. 10 minutes. We'll be back for coat 2. Time for the second coat. Now you gotta make an effort. Make sure you know where you have painted and where you haven't. Valve stem. Still a light coat. All right, we're gonna go counterclockwise. Not spraying as well as I was hoping. Okay, I was going that way. I'm gonna go this way. Coat 2's done. Looking good. No runs. Light coats should not run. Alright, 10 more minutes. Now this is the 3rd light coat. So don't get it on heavy, but make sure you're getting coverage. I don't know if you can hear the different sounds when it's spraying. It doesn't like spraying this way. I think. Maybe that's the thing. It's not spraying as nice as I'd like it to. Okay. All right, 3 down. 1 medium coat. We may have just enough paint. Cut the brick out the other can. It started spitting. The old one started spitting on that. It would have been the 3rd tire, 3rd wheel. Now this is a medium coat. See how much better that's spraying? But don't kid yourself, this stuff runs easy. And don't try to fill in anything with paint. You're just asking for problems that way. Woo! Almost, wow, that was close. Almost got a run right there. All right, check for any spots you may have missed. Yeah, looks pretty good. Now I will be clear coating mine. Technically you don't have to. You can leave it like this, it's wheel paint. However, if you want to give it some more protection, you can use some clear coat. So if you want the most protection, use a 2K automotive clear coat like this. However, I'm going to use this. I've used this on mini wheels and it actually works quite well. Read the instructions for yours. This one says if putting over a fresh top coat, do it within 20 minutes. So I'm going to wait about 15 minutes, check it, make sure that it is okay. In other words, touch it in an inconspicuous place with my finger, cleaned, and I'll tell you already where I'm going to touch it, right there on the end of the valve stem. Touch it there, and if that's dry to the touch, doesn't stick to my finger, I know I can go to the next step, which is the clear coat. And yeah, I'm happy with this. That looks good. Perfect? No, I didn't take the required time. That last 20% takes up a lot of time. But that looks way better, and no one's going to notice the imperfections in it unless, again, you're going to like a car show or something. All right, time for the clear coat. So it only took 10 minutes. This thing was dry. Now with the clear coat, it's the same with doing these last few on this. It's really hard to tell where you've been. Don't run it. Okay. No runs. And that definitely gave it more of a shine. It was sparkly before. Now it's got a shine. I'm going to do at least 2 coats. Second and probably last coat. Make sure I get the outside lip. All right. Any place I missed? All right. That's gonna be bright out there in the sun. Woohoo! And it'll now match the other 2 wheels. Oh, you're still watching? Ha! I actually did this on the other 2 wheels over a year ago. On the left side ones. Same process and everything. And yeah, nobody even noticed that they were different. Except for my wife. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. If so, please like, subscribe, comment, or give me a tip on my coffee page. Link is in the description. And good luck with yours. And a quick tip. Silver Sharpie. Pretty close. Easy, quick touch-ups.